Hey everybody, welcome back to FSi DFS, looking at the 9-game main slate here for Saturday. Really like this slate, a lot of options in terms of pitching, and weather looks good. I mean, there might be a little slight rain threat in the Coors, but I don't think that's anything that we have to be worried about. It's going to be just fine. So we got the sheet, we got the rankings. We'll pull all that up here in a couple of minutes, but let's start off talking about these top salaried pitchers. Paul Skeens facing off against the Dodgers, 10.2K. His strikeout rate has seen some regression over a past couple of starts, and it kind of all stems right back to the All-Star break. The strikeout rate has significantly dipped for him. Now in this matchup here, Vegas has the over-under on his strikeout props at 6.5, so they're still expecting him to have a very solid strikeout day. However, Logan Gilbert also has a strikeout prop of 6.5, and Justin Steele also has a strikeout prop of 6.5, and they're much more affordable in much better matchups as well. Skeens facing off against the Dodgers, guys with like Freddie Freeman and Ohtani. It's terrifying. Like, you don't really want to be a starting pitcher facing against that lineup and really feeling confident that you're going to be doing very well and scoring well in fantasy. Can he break this late? Absolutely. We've seen the capabilities of this guy. Like, he is going to be an ace stud pitcher for the next decade. However, I think with the salary, the matchup, and everything else that we have on the board, I can make a case saying, let's go against him. Logan Gilbert facing off against the Mets. Mets got shut out last night. This Seattle pitching staff is absolutely incredible. 9.7K on him, so a little bit cheaper than Skeens. And Gilbert is just a guy who goes out there. He's going to get you six to seven innings. He's going to get you 6 to 7 strikeouts. And he's going to kind of call it a day. Like, he's just such a solid floor pitcher. I feel like you can really trust him. It's not the greatest matchup against the Mets, but again, the Mets got shut out last night. And Gilbert, I don't think I don't want to say matchup proof, because he got absolutely destroyed by Boston. But you can see that even against better teams like Philadelphia and San Diego, he's capable of going out there and pitching the 6 to 7 innings and getting 6 to 7 strikeouts. Like, it's just what he does, and I love it. His control is phenomenal. He's going to be one of my top pitchers on the board. Corbin Burns, he's a great real-life pitcher. I don't think he's a great DFS pitcher. He goes out there. He's going to get you double digits, fantasy points every single game. Let me see. Does he? Ruined it. April 3rd, he didn't. But he's going to go out there and get you double digit fantasy points. However, he gets a lot of those 10 to 17 fantasy point types of games. And at 9.3K, I want somebody who's going to get me at least 20 DK points to pay off his quote-unquote salary. So, can he get you 20 DK points? Absolutely. This Tampa Bay offense is not somebody that you should shy away from as the opposing starting pitcher. And so he's certainly in the player pool. He's certainly somebody that I could listen to an argument that he'd be your favorite pitcher facing off against Tampa Bay. But at the same time, I just don't have as much trust in him. And then Steele, Justin Steele, facing off against the White Sox. Same strikeout prop as the top guys. So I think that a lot of people could be flocking over towards Steele, but at the same time, I think that ownership's going to be really spread out. I think that between Skeens and Gilbert and Burns and Steele, and even guys like Manaea, and what's Max Fried doing down here at 7K? I know he's in Coors, but come on. Like, ownership is going to be pretty spread out. I don't think there's going to be one guy that's going to be severely overloaded. So looking at where I rank them, I do have Gilbert number 1, Steele number 2. And then Burns 3, and then Skeens 4. But I could completely listen to somebody saying, no, Skeens, with what he is capable of and the ceiling and the upside that he brings, goes up at the top. Against the Dodgers, I don't want to believe that. But still, I would listen to that argument. And then if you wanted to put Steele up at the top, facing off against the White Sox, and so on. So play them all, love them all. Going into the mid-tier, Sean Manaea, what's gotten into this guy? Like, he is the next Spencer Strider, apparently. Like, this guy is absolutely unreal. And he's got a great matchup facing off against Seattle. Seattle, the highest strikeout rate team in the entire league. He's coming off a 10 and 11 strikeout game performance. He has a 9 strikeout game performance here recently as well. So the upside is certainly there, but at the same time, the floor is also a little bit shaky with him. I still see him getting a lot of ownership though, because he is in that high strikeout upside matchup with something has changed. I don't know. Something changed, and he's now approaching double-digit strikeouts in his starts. After Manaea, pretty big gap. And then we're going to go Gallen and Nola facing off against one another. Both of them have looked a little bit dicey as of late. Gallen hasn't had more than 6 strikeouts since, I want to say, June. When I was looking at the stats, let's see. Yeah, hasn't had more than 6 strikeouts since June. Yikes. It's a little bit alarming, but he's still a guy who's capable of going 100-plus pitches. And then Aaron Nola, he's just that big boom-bust kind of guy, but I really do like the Arizona bats here. I think that Nola's going to struggle, and there's a lot of Arizona bats that we'll talk about here in a bit. That could be really intriguing for GPP. And then over into the cheap tier, Max Fried, 7K. I know he's in Coors Field, and I know he hasn't been Max Fried, quote-unquote, in a couple of his starts recently. But what are we doing? Like 7K for Max Fried? Ridiculous. I think he's going to see quite a bit of ownership regardless of him pitching in Coors. So that's kind of where the pitching shakes out. I don't mind Williams as well. But yeah, between Skeens, Gilbert, Burns, Steele, Manaea, Fried, and Williams, I think the ownership is going to be pretty spread out. So looking over towards the bats, Atlanta's going to be your top bats they're pitching in Coors. Let me check. Let me double check real quick here. Rockies to be determined, and who their pitcher is. It could be Flexen, maybe. If it is, no, it's not Flexen. What am I thinking? Could be Hudson, but who knows? It's absolutely a mystery at this point in time. But regardless, whoever does go out there for Colorado, definitely going to have an interest in the Atlanta bats. Called the Ozuna home run last night, which was awesome. But, I mean, can I really pat myself on the back for calling a home run in Coors on a top offense? No. After that, though, the Cubs facing off against Flexen. I don't know why I was thinking Flexen was on Colorado. But Chicago facing off against Flexen. We just do it all season long. Let's just keep picking on Flexen because we can. And Chicago, their ownerships are not terrible by any means. They got Bellinger at 5.3K, but I mean, you're still looking at over half of their lineup is 3K and below. They have lefties up and down throughout their lineup that are capable of producing things. The only hesitation I have with them is that just the offense has kind of staggered. But they certainly have the upside. I mentioned in our Discord last night, maybe, having Chicago as a nice GPP stack, because they were going to be facing off against Crochet, who only was going to go 3 to 4 innings. And then they got that terrible Chicago bullpen, White Sox bullpen. And they did well. They actually beat up on Crochet, but then the White Sox bullpen actually did really well. So it's kind of right, but also kind of backwards at the exact same time. But I really do think that Chicago Cubs is certainly going to be one of the better stacks or better plays on the day. Going over to the GPP, already talked about Arizona, how I really do like them facing off against Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola is kind of like that big boom bust kind of pitcher. You never really know what to expect, but when he's off, he's really off. If I was going to, and these Arizona bats are hot. They are doing very well as of late, and it's really the lefties that are doing well as of late as well. You got Peterson and McCarthy, and then you got the switch hitters of Marte and Josh Bell. These guys have been doing phenomenal as of late. They all have the home run upside, and I really think that they can do well. Aaron Nola, he's allowed a lot of home runs as of late. Almost every single start, he's allowing at least one home run, and it goes down throughout. So I could see Arizona breaking the slate, hitting 4 home runs here tonight, stealing bases, doing all that. And aside from Marte, very affordable. 4-1, 4-3, and 3-7 on the salaries. Don't mind that one bit. So you can go in, throw in a guy. Let's throw in Gilbert and throw in Steele. Some 2 more expensive pitchers. And you're still looking at 3.3K remaining for your bats. If you want to go, don't want to say crazy, but go with Fried and Coors. I just think his salary is way too cheap. You're still looking at 3.7 remaining for the remainder of your bat. So I really do like Arizona as my top GPP plays. Cleveland facing off against Woods Richardson, like them as well. And then I threw Philly in there and the Dodgers going up against good pitchers in Gallen and Skeens. But Skeens' strikeout rate has dipped quite a bit. And then Gallen, I mentioned his strikeout rate has kind of dipped as well, and he's just not looking like himself. Going into the cheap side, Milwaukee, number one. I mean, is this the hottest offense in all of baseball right now? It's got to be. Like, they're hitting double-digit runs and then 8 runs, like, routinely, consistently. Now they're facing off against Martinez. Martinez, he's an okay pitcher, solid pitcher. Let's see. Let's look at the run totals here. 8-16, 8-10, 3-4-8. Like, yeah, one of the hottest offenses in baseball at this point in time, and they're very affordable in that, again, over half their lineup, you're looking at 4-2 or 4-1 and below. You're going to be able to get some of these low 3K guys in there as well. So hopefully this was able to kind of steer you and guide you in the right direction. Thank you, as always, for watching. No videos on Sunday, but we will be back on Monday for that slate breakdown. So good luck, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.